FORA.tv. Idea immersion. Visit us at www.fora.tv.
I do think there are three things that we can do that would ameliorate the current process a lot. The first is they're all geared toward the same idea, which is that this confrontation should be a confrontation between the executive branch, which wants to appoint judges, and the legislative branch, which wants to a say ideologically in who they're going to be. And so all three of these proposals are designed to focus that battle a little bit more squarely on that confrontation and try to remove the judiciary a little bit from it. The first is that we need to accept that ideological considerations are A, historically a part of the process, and B, not an illegitimate one. That is, when the president appoints John Roberts, we should understand that he's appointing somebody he expects to agree with, and we should understand that it's legitimate enough for Senator Schumer to say, boy, I don't expect to agree with him. That's a problem for me in my decision whether to vote for him. The second is we need to shift Senator Schumer's instinct that he's got a problem there from grilling and attacking the nominee to putting pressure on the White House. We want to focus that political energy on pressuring the White House rather than pressuring the nominee. And I'm using these names because these are the forces currently in contention. It would be the same if it were a Democratic president and a Republican senator. I think the most important thing to do in that regard is to end this very unfortunate experiment this country has had with live nominee testimony at the Judiciary Committee hearings. This has become a forum for senators to posture and demand things of nominees, and it has no bearing or very little bearing on who actually gets nominated. It seems to me if Democratic senators want to pressure the White House to nominate someone of their liking, they have a lot of tools with which to do that. They can threaten en masse to vote against the person. They can, if they are in control of the body, they could threaten, provide a list to the president and say, if you don't choose off of this list, we'll just vote them down the day the nomination shows up. All of that is well within their power. And yet we think of that as somehow too aggressive. What I would say is that all of that is actually a little bit more modest than what we in fact do right now, which is we wait very passively, the Senate that is, waits very passively until the president makes a nomination and then jumps on the nomination and attacks him. I think this is the worst of all worlds. The history of these hearings shows very clearly, as nothing else I have ever examined the history of shows, their purpose was to pressure nominations. It was never to have a dispassionate, serious examination of judicial philosophy. It was to put pressure on people to deliver substantive outcomes. And we are seeing now that it behaves exactly the way Senator Eastland intended it to. And I think we need to think very seriously about whether that's an innovation that we're proud of as a society, as a political culture, or whether it's an innovation that it was an experiment, it didn't work, it caused a lot of problems, and now it's time to get rid of.